So welcome back. You have Dr. Good here, and then we have Miss Marilyn Drennan. And so welcome to Between Two Flasks. And today we're going to talk about successfully applying for internships.
Jennifer, let's talk nitty gritty. Let's get into the details. What does it take to secure an internship?
So there are definitely components of an intern application that you want to consider. This includes an updated resume and CV, a cover letter, a transcript, and an essay. And sometimes these essays can be personal statements, so you definitely want to make sure that you're reading the instructions thoroughly to understand what they're asking for.
So if I write one personal statement, can I submit that to 12 different internships?
Oh, definitely not. We definitely want to take our time and evaluate our personal statements, and so make them as specific as possible for the programs that you're applying for. There's nothing worse than getting an application that has another program's information listed in the application.
That's a no-no. Definitely a no-no.
Yes.
Okay, so what you're telling me is I need to start the process early. If I have to write 12 different personal statements or 12 different short essays, I definitely need to give myself the time to do that.
Yes, you definitely want to give yourself that time ahead. And so another thing is, once you finish writing these letters, you definitely want somebody to read over your application.
Get some more feedback because every program is going to ask for something slightly different. So you want to read things carefully, ask other people to read them to make sure you're putting your best foot forward. Okay, so now that we know what goes into applying for an internship, can we maybe talk about what these review committees are even looking for? So, I mean, Dr. Good, you review applications, I review applications. It might be a faculty member reviewing applications. What are these people actually looking for to select an intern for their program?
Okay. One thing they're definitely looking for is the ability for this individual to follow instructions. And so these are provided to give you clear guidelines on what they're asking for. And so that's the number one. And then you want to identify how this program will support your career goals. Or discuss what you hope to gain from this experience. And so in that instance, you definitely want to be specific. Like, what do you hope to gain from this? Is it going to provide you exposure to a different scientific field? Is it going to allow you to engage with the community? What is this actually going to be doing for you?
Or maybe you're interested in going to graduate school in that city. So you want to check out the city and learn more about the graduate programs. Or maybe you just really like being an outdoors person in the summer. So, being in Seattle is perfect for that. Those are all good reasons, too, to want to do an internship at a specific program.
Correct. And then in this application, again, you want to make sure that you're communicating effectively. And so this includes your ability to write clearly, as well as not to have any typos or grammars. So if you're on your computer and you see a little squiggly line or any double lines, definitely right-click on that and just see what the suggestions are.
That's the thing. Between Microsoft Office and spell check and all these other systems that make it really easy to avoid those types of errors, when you do overlook one and include it in your final materials, it really makes you look a little lazy.
So again, definitely take your time, do your due diligence, and not only have somebody read your work, but you reread it and make sure there's no typos.
Another piece of that effective communication, I think, is being able to describe and articulate your research experiences well, or really any experience well. So in the example of talking about a research experience, if you can describe some of the background of what you're looking at, definitely state your hypothesis, then state what you did to investigate that hypothesis, what any findings or conclusions were. And then importantly, I think it's crucial to address why that matters, right? Why do we care that you're researching this? If you're investigating the cell cycle in yeast, what are you hoping to learn from that, right? Being able to sort of tie it up with a neat little bow like that shows that you can communicate science effectively and can totally help you stand out when you're applying for programs.
Definitely. So what do you think if somebody is applying for a program and they're not so sure exactly what their future goals are or what their particular field or interest is going to be?
Give up.
What? Never.
Don't give up.
Never.
It's totally okay to not know what you want to do. If you don't have it all planned out, you don't need to lie and pretend like you do. It's okay to say that you're still exploring and trying to ascertain, what area of research you're interested in or what career you might be interested in. And that also, pro tip, is a great justification for wanting to do an internship, right?
Exactly. So I'm not going to tell my age, but I look like I'm 18.
Yes. Don't look a day over an intern.
But this is speaks to everyone's experience. You're always exploring different avenues, so don't be afraid to put that in your application.
Have you reviewed applications before?
Yes.
How many do you review?
Hundreds of applications. Hundreds of applications.
Yeah,
in a short time frame.
Right. That's a lot to go through. So be genuine, be memorable, be yourself. If your personality and your voice are coming through in your materials, that selection committee is more likely to review and remember your story, your voice, your career goals, right? Versus the 200 other applications that they read.
Yes, definitely. And with reading a lot of applications as a reviewer, you definitely want to make sure that you're reading those instructions and that you're sticking to the word limit.
Oof.
Yes.
Okay. So if I have a 500 word limit for a statement, can I just submit one with 1,000? Because that's already what I have written.
No, definitely not. No.
What about 505 words?
No, 500 means 500.
Dr. Good says no. 500 means 500.
Yes, and so
you heard it here first. Stick to the word count, folks.
Yes, and this goes back to your ability to follow directions, and so that's what's in the directions.
So let's talk a little bit about the timeline. So I know I want to do an internship this next summer. What time should I think about applying? When should I start looking for applications? What does that whole process kind of look like? I mean, if I want an internship in June, should I start applying in June?
Oh, definitely not. So you definitely want to start that fall before, because a lot of applications may open up in January or March, and then some applications do have an early application time period, and so those may start in December.
Yeah, I know at least for the summer undergraduate research program at Fred Hutch, our application opens in the fall in November, and the deadline is early January. Mm-hmm. So you missed that boat.
Yeah.
You're not coming to Fred Hutch. And everyone should come to Fred Hutch.
So with that being said, if you know that you're interested in doing a research internship, you can start as early as you want. Maybe you missed the deadline for this year, but you go ahead and mark that program down for next year so that you're on time for that particular program.
Definitely. And always be sure, if you're communicating with program staff, if you're communicating with folks at the institution, you want to really try to be polite, be kind, even if you don't hear back. You never want to be rude.
It's a small world out here in the scientific community. So you want to always put your best foot forward. And again, it's be kind.
And with that, let's talk to a couple of students who have some experience and advice about internships. But in the words of Dr. Good, be kind.
That's Ellen.
Dr. Good and Ellen.
So Alex, how many internships did you apply to, and how many were you accepted to?
So I applied to a total of 5 internships. I got accepted into 4 of them. The decision was kind of hard when it comes to where I wanted to be. I was kind of in that, I think I used these internships to kind of decide my future direction, because it was all of them were fields I didn't know and I was interested in. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of more I treated these internships as different opportunities to explore a different field.
Why did you choose Fred Hutch?
I think I really liked the umbrella program aspect of it, and also when I met the program director at the conference, she was actually really cool compared to the other ones she was very relatable. I felt like I didn't have that, how there's a power kind of dynamic. I didn't feel that. And it just felt really cool, and then it just felt welcoming. It really did. And at the end of the day, it was West Coast too, since I'm originally from San Francisco. So Seattle's also a city I actually wanted to go to, so that also played a factor in it. So how many internships did you apply to, and how many did you get accepted into?
So I only applied to the SERP internship, and I got in. In the process, at my university, it's kind of hard to learn about internships. I honestly didn't really know about them until going into my junior year of college. But my supervisor was like, "You should totally try it. I'll give you a good letter of rec and stuff, and you should do it." And I was like, "Okay, cool." I applied to it. What do you think made your application successful, and what did you do to make yourself stand out?
Ooh, that's a tough one because I'll be honest, I felt like my application wasn't that strong. I think it's given the part, like most of us have been in COVID for like 2.5 years and continuing on. So being remote kind of made me feel like my application was kind of like weak. But I guess what I tried to do to at least like make it strong and stuff was to at least like highlight whatever research experience I had. I made sure to highlight it and actually like make sure to know why you were doing it and what's the importance of it. I think that's a good like aspect of it because it kind of understands why you're doing that research. And I guess another thing to make it strong is like also like really focusing on why this program will benefit me. And like how what I would bring to the program and see how we it's like a mutual relationship. And so I think that's what I would do, while also trying to like throughout my whole like application trying to see how that I'm a very like I want to learn something new. So I guess like making it seem that you want to learn more, gain more knowledge. I guess that also I use to make my application stronger.
I think what made my application strong, like you, I didn't really have much research experience. It was very informal. So I kind of like made my statement of research kind of how I'm very motivated to learn more, and I can do that through Fred Hutch. Like I really said Fred Hutch is the place I want to be at to network and meet new people and learn how to actually be in a laboratory setting and know research specifically. And I kind of talked about like my goals after graduating and what I wanted to do, so kind of letting whoever read my app know like I'm willing to, and I'm like optimistic. Yeah.
No, that's good. I think that's like, especially as a researcher, as a scientist, people really want to see that drive and passion.
How much time did you spend writing your application materials and your essays?
Maybe like a week. I think, well, it's probably not like all the hours like per day. I think, let's say I started a general draft that I would use for like multiple, since like they're all similar questions. And so I wrote that general one, and then I sent it to a few people. They absolutely destroyed it. And then, I had to pick myself up after that and then readjust all of that. And so I guess that's why it took me a week, because I need those few days to process what was just happening to my draft. But I think, so I think I'll say it. But like after that, it was pretty straight cut. And, at the end, I would just change, for, this specific program, because like I would this goal for this specific program, and I would tinker it to whatever program it was, but I would say probably a week. How long did you take on your application?
I think because for the CERP, I think it was due in like early January.
Yeah.
So I did mine on like Christmas break, and
it's not bad.
I mean, I set a day aside for it at least.
No, yeah.
So I like whipped it out in like 3 hours. I sent my like statement of research to my advisor, but because it was like Christmas break, he couldn't go over it. So I made my own revisions.
You know what? It ended up working out though.
But I'm here, guys. But always send your essays and your drafts to someone else to read it.
Always bet on yourself.
Yeah. Don't be like me, please.
Don't be like you, but you still made it.
I mean, yeah, but, do it better.
Do you have any last tips and tricks for applying for internships?
Yeah, like you, I think just be confident in yourself. Definitely have like people around you who support you and who will kind of like push you to apply for internships, because we tell ourselves like, oh, like, you're not good enough, you don't have enough, like, but then you have like your advisor or your PI who've watched over you and you're like, no, like, you're capable of doing this, so just do it, so they'll like hold your hand and stuff. So I think confidence is key.
Always.
Any last tips or tricks for students applying to internships?
I think the one I would tell everyone is like, you might apply to this internship to like this very prestigious institution, school, whatever. But I would just say let them tell you no. Don't tell yourself no, because it's always worth a shot applying to these internships, and it's great because they don't require money. So and then most of them use the same material, so you could easily recycle it. So I would just say, try not to limit yourself before you even try, and go from there.